one more person show up. Here now. No, hands not coming. Good evening and welcome to the August 19, 2024 meeting of the City of Tuscaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission. This meeting allows for alternative participation in order to accommodate all citizens. Any written comments sent to staff are forwarded to the commission directly. This time, I'd like to introduce our staff: Jimbo Woodson, Deputy City Attorney; Michael Garner, City Engineer; Zach Pons, Director of Planning; Emily Hayes, Associate Director of Planning; and Lily McIntyre, Special Projects Coordinator. There are 9 members of the Planning Commission, all of whom are appointed by the mayor for staggered terms, with the exception of the City Council representative, who is appointed by the City Council. I ask that the commission members introduce themselves and state their occupation, starting with Ms. Prince.
Dina Prince, and I'm an attorney.
Vince Dooley, UA Campus Development.
Jim Harrison, General Contractor.
Raven Howard, City Council District 2.
Eddie Pugh, Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue, retired.
Bill Wright, business owner. There are sign-up sheets outside for public comment. 4 speakers are allowed to speak in favor of a petition, and 4 are allowed to speak in opposition of a petition. All speakers will have a maximum of 5 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. Procedures tonight: the commission will take up items in order of our final agenda. The commission will initially receive a presentation from the staff as to the details of the agenda item. Additionally, we may hear certain matters involving the same property, such as an annexation and a zoning matter concurrently, although we will take separate votes on each matter involving the same property. After the staff presentation, we'll then call upon the petitioner to present their case. The petition will have a maximum of 10 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. At the conclusion of the petitioner's remarks, I will then call on any other party in order of sign-up, otherwise who desires to support the petition, and thereafter we'll call in order those signed up to oppose the petition. When it's your turn for comment, please introduce yourself, stating your name and address for the record. And please provide all comments to the commission. Any written comments, again, have been included into the record. After receiving the remarks of those who oppose the petition, the petitioner will have the opportunity to respond to any objections. Any rebuttal will be limited to 2 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. If the petitioner presents any new information in response to the objections, we will allow those who oppose the opportunity to respond to the new information only. Any response will be limited to 2 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. During the course of this presentation, you may be interrupted by any member of the commission for clarification or additional information. Such interruptions will not reduce your time limit. Once the commission members are satisfied they have received all relevant information, I will then close further discussion by the public, at which time the commission members will discuss the matter and then vote. After the vote, you are free to leave. These proceedings are video recorded and broadcast live. All in-person public comments should be made at the podium into the microphone. Comments made by phone or virtually are video recorded through the conferencing application. Again, please first state your name and address for the record. Jurisdiction. In all matters pertaining to subdivision regulations, approval of subdivisions within the city and its planning jurisdiction, and as to amendments, planned unit developments, and located outside the city limits, this commission serves as the final authority. As to matters pertaining to historic buffer zone construction, our decision is subject to appeal to the City Council. As to all remaining agenda matters, including original zonings, rezonings, planned unit developments within the city, and street vacation, this commission serves as a recommending body to the City Council. In that regard, our decisions are in the form of a recommendation to be presented to the City Council, and the City Council will make the final decision on those matters. Subdivision approvals require the affirmative vote of 6 members of the Planning Commission. All matters which are recommendations to the Council require a majority vote for an affirmative recommendation. At this time, I would ask, do any members of the Commission have any conflicts of interest as to any agenda matters before us tonight? If so, please state for the record. Okay, having heard none, I would ask the staff to confirm on the record that proper notice has been given to all parties in interest as required by law as to all matters for the commission tonight.
It has.
All right. All right, with that, we will begin with approval of the minutes. As the Planning and Zoning Commission has received the synopsis for the July 2024 meeting, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the same unless there are any deletions, additions, or corrections. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes for July, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
All right. Good evening. We will start off with some unfinished business. This is companion case A, which is Dawkins subdivision, as well as an annexation and a planned unit development request. So this has been continued twice, and it's here again tonight. So we will go through all four of these in one kind of fell swoop. I'll just present this to you guys all. There's going to be four votes at the end of this, and then our petitioners have a presentation as well, and then, of course, the public comment portion. So we'll start with S5524. This is Dawkins subdivision consisting of 3 lots on approximately 95.09 acres located at and around 9334 Old Greensboro Road. And this was continued from July, not in city limits currently. So y'all are familiar with the area, Publix supermarket down south, down 69 South, off of Greensboro Road here, right by Shelton State. So this is the property we're talking about here. This first subdivision, you're gonna see 2 subdivisions tonight. This one is a 3-lot subdivision for this property to kind of carve out that bigger piece that they're gonna pursue the planned unit development in. So you can see this is the overall view. On the bottom right of the screen, you can see a lot there that they are carving out to keep out in the county. And then the middle portion, that's where the big subdivision is gonna happen and where they're gonna request to annex. And then on the northwest corner, you have a smaller portion as well that's gonna stay in the county. And so they are requesting a variance from lot configuration for this one. And then we move on to the annexation. So this is AN 1324. This is annexing approximately 76.55 acres of that 95 acres located at and around 9334 Old Greensboro Road. Again, this one was continued as well. So of course the area, you can see the hashed area here is what we were just talking about. That is the area that they would like to annex into the city. And keep the other 2 lots, if that subdivision was approved, outside of the city. Of course, subject to the annexation being approved as well. But that's what they are proposing here. And they're annexing into the city for a new residential subdivision that we will get into. So the analysis from the 2021 framework, this does identify this area as a primary expansion area. And of the reviews from the departments and divisions, the only one that really had any comments was environmental services, that they won't be providing services to this area. It's just too far south from where the rest of the city limits kind of is. Next up, we've got the planned unit development. So this is P0324. This is going to be called Dawkins Place, a planned unit development consisting of 262 single-family residential lots and 7 open space lots on approximately 76.55 acres located at around 9334 Old Greensboro Road. So the PUD narrative, so this is 262 single-family residential lots, comes out to 3.4 dwelling units per acre. So of that 76, this is 3.4 dwelling units per acre. Of that 76, 18.32 acres of it is open space, so that's 23.9% of the site. And you'll see some examples here, and they can expound upon this, but they're going to provide a dog park, playground, passive recreation, and open play space within that open space area. These are all single-family detached homes. The lot sizes range from 5,200 to 21,000 square feet, most of them being within that 5,200, closer to that end, and then you have some one-offs or a couple in the 21,000 square foot range. Homes will range from 1,300 to 2,500 square feet, and the estimated price point, $275,000 to $325,000. So here's the overall plan for Dawkins Place. We'll kind of get into it a little bit closer here. So you can see this is off of Greensboro. you have two access points here. And then as you move kind of towards the middle of the development, you have two access points into Waterford Place, just to the north of this, that they're planning to connect to. And the reason being is the subdivision regulations require connectivity to stub-out streets, and so they are providing that here. And then in the back portion here, connection point as well, and then just kind of the lot sizes. You can see the existing pond there in the middle, the detention pond as well, and then open space all throughout. These are the examples that they've provided of what the houses might look like. So you have a few different options, and they'll go through that a little bit further as well. And then you've got some amenity space as well that they've provided examples of. So it does conform to framework. Framework identifies this in the future land use character map as suburban residential, which is defined as predominantly single-family housing, generally developed in a car-oriented pattern, a range of lot sizes, housing sizes, and styles. So it does conform to framework. You can see that on the future land use character map, identified as suburban residential. And then the final one that we have of the four is the planned subdivision for Dawkins Place. So that's that 262 single-family residential lots. So this is PS 5624, consisting of 262 single-family residential lots and 7 open space lots on approximately 76.55 acres on 9334 Old Greensboro Road. So again, that's just the subdivision for this middle portion that we talked about, this lot 2 of their first subdivision that they're proposing. And that's with contours, this is without, and they're not requesting any variances for this subdivision. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them now, or we can.
I have a, I
Petitioner
have,
in those in opposition.
I just had a couple of questions about
Yes,
the
ma'am.
annexation.
Mhm.
And I've just maybe forgotten from last time, but why are the 2 lots on that fronting Greensboro Road being carved out?
So there are 2 existing homes on that lot that I
Okay.
believe whoever owns the lot, or the land currently wants to keep out of it to, I guess, retain for their homes perhaps.
And then the property to the rear?
I'm not sure. That you can ask a little bit further on that. I think it's just future development possibilities, maybe. It also has some wetland area that might not be able to be developed that they might be taking into consideration as well. But they'll be able to answer that.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. Petitioner.
Good evening. My name is Mason Lake at 2504 Huntington Park Court, Birmingham, Alabama 35226, and I'm with D.R. Horton. Thank you, Planning Commission, for your time this evening and your consideration. To go ahead and answer that question, that property we didn't really need that for our development plan. The underlying owner wanted to retain that site, so that's just what we worked out with them. So. I did put a little bit of a presentation together. I don't want to, rehash what has already been summarized, but did want to go through this as efficiently as possible, and any questions that you may have for me, would love to answer. So I did want to include some of the floor plans. I know that there already were some floor plans included, but we are proud of these products that we build, and this is our Carroll plan. This would be on the larger end of the spectrum of the houses that we want to build. But these are just some of our model homes that we build around the Birmingham and Tuscaloosa metro. And then this is the RET plan here, the ARIA. So as you can see, a large range of housing, and the goal here is to be able to provide for a lot of different buyers in the community. So, you may have your first-time home buyer that is able to attain housing in this area and can purchase a home and build equity in their house. But then you have those larger floor plans as well to say, maybe they have a few kids and they want to build up and move on to the next area. So that is our intention when we build these different floor plans with different square footage ranges. Proposed amenities were hit as well. but large areas of natural vegetation, playground, walking path, dog park, existing pond. So there's an existing pond there that we want to make sure we maintain. We understand that there are some issues with that pond currently, and we have actually talked to the neighboring HOA about potentially helping contribute to fix some of those issues, make sure that that pond is maintained so that it is safe for this development and also neighboring developments. In previous meetings, there were some concerns about, how we keep up some of our neighborhoods. So wanted to just include a few slides that show some of the landscaping in these neighborhoods that we build around Central Alabama. This is Creekview, Timberline, and Calera, and then some of our communities in Chelsea Acres and Chelsea Park. So we maintain these, areas throughout development and throughout home building. And then typically what we would do and what we would plan to do in this community is we would hire a third-party HOA management company, and they're the ones that maintain, make sure that everybody is on the same page, collecting dues, making sure that green spaces are maintained. And then from there, it's up to the HOA. If they want to continue that management program, then they can continue that, or they can take it in whatever governing body they would like to take it. If that is something that would be helpful if we need to say, hey, this HOA management place has to stay in this neighborhood for 5 to 10 years or something along those lines. That's certainly something we would be open to doing, and something we have done with other communities. So just wanted to highlight some of the changes we made since our last submittal. Density, we did go down about 50 lots from our first submittal, and we took out the townhome lots, which were the smallest lot sizes. Connecting stub roads, so Tom Sims is going to speak a little bit more to traffic in a minute, but we absolutely want to do what is recommended by the City of Tuscaloosa, by the traffic study, and by any other governing municipalities. We've added buffers between Dawkins Place lots and Waterford lots, and I talked a little bit about the HOA management company as well. So I think this is a really important visual for our petition. When you look at the density calculations, I know in previous meetings there were concerns about the density, and some I think it was said that maybe this was out of character with the surrounding neighborhoods. But if you see, the surroundings, this is really not out of character with what is around it. Across the street, 5 units an acre. Just north and south, we have multiple apartment communities that, it looks like it goes up to 11 units an acre to the north, and then maybe it's a little dark there, but let's see over on Inglewood. So anyways, just wanted to highlight that there are a lot of communities all around this South 69 corridor that have a greater density per acre than what we are proposing. And that doesn't, that 3.4 unit per acre count doesn't take into account that additional 15 acres that the original landowner is retaining. So if you were to calculate that, you would be even lower, probably less than 3 units an acre. Then just wanted to take a second to make a note. D.R. Horton is a national company, but here at the local level, we are comprised of local individuals, and many people in this community benefit from working through these neighborhoods. We supply housing for lots of people in Tuscaloosa and Northport, and so there's a lot of people that that not only get to live in these neighborhoods and enjoy it, but lots of people that provide that rely on communities like these to feed their families. And then this is just a study by the National Association of Home Builders that show the economic impact of home building. So estimated 1-year impacts of building 100 single-family homes, about $29 million local income, $3.6 million in taxes and other revenue for local governments, 394 local jobs. If you multiply that by the 262 number, you're looking at some really big numbers for this community. And that is all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Lake? Is Mr. Sims coming up to speak now?
Yes, sir. Tom Sims, 1927 7th Street, Tuscaloosa. I just wanted to hit on basically the engineering aspects of the subdivision. There were several concerns in the initial meeting, and we wanted to try to address those the best we could. One was traffic. That seems to be a recurring theme. So we did hire a traffic professional, Skipper Consulting. They have a representative here tonight, Philip Crawley, if y'all have specific questions for him. But that traffic study was completed. We submitted to engineering for review, and it showed acceptable levels of service, really A, B, which are on the higher ends of the levels of service of traffic for existing and post-construction. So from a professional traffic perspective, not really any negative impacts for this proposed subdivision. Also, and Zach mentioned it previously, the city regulations are clear about stub-out streets and tying on those, and that's the reason that Waterford has those stub-out streets. From our perspective, we don't care. They're not necessary for our subdivision, but from an engineering and planning perspective, we realize they're practical and they're needed. So we show them, and we just want to make sure that we're conforming to the rules and regulations the city wants, and that's what we're doing. As an alternative, because I know that is a touchy subject for the residents of the adjacent subdivision, we did propose the option of putting in possibly some emergency access gates, similar to like we did in Hinton Place. And I know that's not a popular engineering option, and I don't think staff supports it. They actually reached out and said they didn't support it, but that option is on the table from our perspective. It doesn't really matter to us. We know that we have sanitary sewer upgrade to a lift station. The existing sanitary sewer network there is compatible to collect the proposed sewer from our subdivision. We do realize that the lift station at Inverness Place, which is just north of both of these subdivisions, would have to be upgraded, and we've submitted that plan to the city as well. So we're aware of that, and we know that would need to be upgraded. The other thing that Mason touched on, and I just mention it once more about the density and that density map, we look really closely at the adjacent subdivisions, and we had some comments last time about potential subdivision and density that is bordering not only Waterford, but also Shelton. And I noticed that south of Shelton, there is Lenox and Village of Magnolia, which are significantly higher density than what we're proposing, 4.47 and 4.16 units per acre on those subdivisions. Across the street to the east, the apartments are over 6.4 units per acre. Also, Hillcrest Gardens across the street to the east, 4.9 units per acre. We're less dense than all of those subdivisions. And even adjacent to Waterford to the north, you have Inverness Apartments, Inverness Subdivision. Both of those are at 4.46 and then 10.82. We're significantly less than both of those as a density. So from a comparable product, I think we're compatible with the area. And we tried to make sure that we could meet all engineering, traffic. I think the developers also indicated that they would put in some turning lanes that were requested by the city, although the traffic report didn't warrant them. And they're willing to do that. And just like he had mentioned, they're willing to address, help address issues that are already existing with the dam. They want to be good partners to the neighborhood. I understand their position, but we just want to make sure that from an engineering planning perspective, I think we checked all the boxes.
Any questions for Mr. Sims?
Mr. Sims, let me ask you to clarify a couple things for me. You indicated the traffic study showed no negative impact. Is that?
Traffic study shows the existing levels of service to be basically A's and B's across the board. After construction and full build out, those levels of service do not drop below A's and B's still. And
What does
C
that
is
mean?
actually an acceptable level of service for traffic. But
Well, break that down for me a little bit more. What creates a negative impact? Can you tell me what, I know you're saying there's no negative impact, but what creates a negative impact?
I guess maybe what was intended with the statement is that the levels of service per the traffic study did not drop. They did not drop to a lower level of service. Generally, those levels of services are rated from A through F, with A being the best and F being the worst, and C being basically a desirable or an acceptable level of service. And we're above that C category, even at post-construction.
Can you break level of service down for me? What is level of service? What does that mean?
Maybe I should let the traffic guy explain that in more detail, but it's just basically a progression of, where your traffic is worse, where you have backups in traffic, where it's harder to get out in the mornings, the evenings. Takes into account peak traffic flows and patterns and that sort of thing. It's just how easy it is to get in and out of the places.
So adding 262 lots times however many vehicles, you're saying that's not gonna create an impact?
I'm sure it's created an impact. It just didn't lower the level of service that is already there. There's a cutoff, and I'm sure he can explain it in detail if you want it.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to understand no negative impact. And maybe that's not what you meant. But I'm sure that.
Yeah, I think what I was intending to say is it just didn't drop the letter grade of that impact.
Maybe you need to let him explain.
Yeah.
Okay. Before he comes up, one more question. The emergency access gates, from our standpoint, that's not an option. That I think we've established that in the past, and that's not an option for us. You spoke about the sanitary sewer upgrade downstream in Inverness.
Yes, sir.
Explain that.
So the existing sanitary sewer network that runs from basically in the Shelton area north through Waterford, through Inverness subdivision, all ends up in a lift station on the west side of Inverness. That lift station transfers sewer through a force main to one further downstream of lift station 33. We examined that one as well. That one has capacity. No issues there.
As part of this project, the developer's going to upgrade the one downstream?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, what lift station is that? What number?
14.
Were there any other concerns? You met with the neighbors, right? You had a meeting as
Yes,
we
sir.
requested. Were there any other concerns outside of traffic, traffic that they brought up that you addressed or didn't address?
The major concerns that we heard that were conveyed to us were traffic, were compatibility of the builder, and I think that's the reason that DR wanted to make the presentation of what they were presenting. They had mentioned sewer, which I think we've addressed. They've mentioned the existing dam issues and that sort of thing, and not only are they planning to contribute to whatever repair is, our development will also be engineered in such a manner as to try to minimize the amount of water that drains to that pond. Obviously, everything is draining to the low point, but we'll have our own collection of detention ponds internally that will meet all the engineering requirements and limit flows that way.
And do you think you met the compatibility based off of your presentation?
I think so. We are very similar sized density-wise. I think a lot of the houses, as far as square footage-wise and that sort of thing, meets a lot of the adjacent subdivisions that are around there. I think you have, if you go through and just kind of meander through these adjacent subdivisions, you'll see a wide range of products, and I think that these guys are going to be putting something that's compatible with that.
Tommy mentioned the pond lake, where we're calling it dam structure.
Yes, sir.
Now, we ran this case when we had north of the river neighborhood, we had a lake that kind of split the two property lines. I guess first, tell me more about where's the dam on, where's the property line for the dam?
The dam is located fully on the Waterford property,
Okay.
their open space property.
All right.
Yeah, the blue stops right at our property line. The dam is on the other side of the property line, and that lake actually continues across the property line as well.
So, Jimbo, back to what I was going to ask you. From the city's perspective and legally, you got would be potentially two separate HOAs would be owners of this property with the lake.
Right.
How do we want to, how are we addressing that these days? This is only the second time I've seen this.
We would expect their group to outline what their HOA is going to do for the lake in terms of maintaining it.
Have y'all
They've
made?
reached out preliminarily, and I think at one of our pre-engineering meetings with the city, they had suggested sort of a co-maintenance agreement between the two HOAs. And I know that DR had approached them. Obviously, that's way down the road from where we're at today, but they're more than willing, as far as DR is concerned, to enter into such an agreement.
Yes, legally, I.
All we're expecting them to do is to specify what they will do to maintain the lake.
You also have to have other parties willing to agree to that, correct? I mean, so that could blow up one day potentially.
What about the buffer you talked about between the neighborhoods? What are you talking about there? How wide? What are you looking at?
Yes, sir. I think on average, we have provided, I can't read that from here. I want to say it's 20 or 30 feet buffer through there. There's an existing buffer on the east side adjacent to the pond and running down the shared property line between Waterford as well. But we did try to provide a separation there.
When you figure density, the city allows you to figure the lake and all the property when you figure density, does it not?
All open space, yes, sir.
So if you took the lake and everything
that's
out, then the
what-
density's gonna change, if you had to.
Well, yes, sir, but I think that's the purpose of the calculation, is to ensure that you're providing enough open space for some of those denser neighborhoods.
I can understand the lake, but you got some low areas, some wet areas and things that you're not gonna be able to develop. But you talk about the density in apartments and subdivisions below Shelton and everything being so much dense. If we took that out, I wonder what the density in your project would be.
I
There's
think
a
the
pretty good
lots-
bit of property there that's not being used. When you looked at the detention pond, the lake, and then the stream that comes through it.
Sure, I think the lot sizes are very much in line with multiple subdivisions down there. Actually, I think some of those in Lenox and Magnolia Village, south of Shelton State, are probably, on average, smaller than these.
Let me ask a couple of questions about density too, while we're on that subject. The ones that you have said, the ones that you've said are comparable, they're in the county, correct?
Probably
that
most
development?
of them, yes, ma'am.
And does the county have different density requirements? For instance, are any of those PUDs that were approved in the county? I mean, I know the
I couldn't
apartment
speak
isn't.
to when they were done. I don't know. I think just from my perspective, I think the county's subdivision regulations and their enforcement thereof has increased and gotten more stringent as the years have moved forward. I think there were some things that were built 20, 30 years ago that probably didn't have as much, meticulous planning in those areas. But that's speculation. I wasn't involved with those projects.
And Zach, I mean, I know it's in the county. Are all of those developments within our planning jurisdiction?
Yes, so all of these are within our planning jurisdiction. So that's why they come to you guys for subdivisions, even when they're outside of city limits. To clarify or to comment on your first point, Waterford actually was constructed as a planned unit development in the county. And so we used to, and Jimbo might be able to give you more of a history on this, but we used to allow PUDs in the county. We don't do that anymore. It has to be in city limits. And so in order for them to develop this as a PUD, they have to come into city limits. And the restrictions for the county, I believe, are 9,000 square feet per lot.
Can I add? So as it relates to some being in the city and some being in the county, so if we annex it into the city, will these students go to city schools, but next door may go to the county schools. They'll be, your neighbor will go to a different school.
Can you, Zach, can y'all bring up the map of the area showing the different city properties and areas and county? That's a pertinent time to bring that up, as Mr. Rumsey mentioned. We talk about a lot of times about spot zoning, spot annexing.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's not technically going to be, create an island over there. The part that they're not annexing to the rear, because it still does touch on Shelton, correct?
Correct.
It does. They're keeping an access point for that, for public right-of-way.
And I guess the two homes in the front.
So looking at that real quick while Ms. Prince is thinking there, what we're seeing there is everything around there is county. Anything color-coded is city, but most of that's commercial. There is a little bit of there's
The
R1.
only residential is here, and then there's an R1 right here.
So that R1 piece that he just circled is the Army National Guard site, which was not required to rezone because it's just,
What's
it's
that
in
little,
government use.
what's that right below it says, below Shelton, there's a little patch of, what's that?
Inglewood Baptist Church.
Church, okay. So I want that for the record so everybody knows that everything down there is either institutional, government, or commercial. Okay. Just out of curiosity, does anybody know where, if that was to come, where would they be zoned schools and what district, what council district would be responsible for that? Two?
Two, that's right.
What about the schools on this?
What was it, Southview Elementary, Paul Bryant High School? I forgot what the.
Skyland.
Skyland?
Skyland, Southview, and Paul
Eastwood
Bryant.
Middle.
Mr. Sims, just what's the reason for the city annexation? State that one more time. I think we danced all around it. We hadn't asked you. Why do they want city annexation down there?
Just because of the type of product that they
Pardon?
want, just because of the type of product that they want to put, they have some mixed use, housing lot sizes and houses, which generally is a product that you can't get in the county, or you can't get.
Mixed
approved.
use?
Mixed use lot, mixed sizes within the neighborhood of lots.
I mean, you could do it with a PUD in the county, couldn't you?
Right. That's, yeah.
I'm
That's
not
what you're
aware of
asking us to do.
Well, I'm not aware of a PUD that exists with the county anymore.
Haven't we approved PUDs in the county before?
We used
We
to,
used
but
to, yeah.
since the law changed and we had our agreement with the county, we no longer have county PUDs. There are none.
And how you've seen denser development is it's been approved by the county commission for smaller lot sizes. So there's a minimum that the county has, and so they would have to request that from the county if they were staying in the county, just like they're requesting tonight.
So you can have smaller lot sizes, could increase your density, right?
You could if the county
So-
commission approves it.
So, but that has a direct impact into traffic at that point as well, right? Or could potentially.
It could.
Well, doesn't a PUD allow you to increase your density because you're given credit for your green space and your common space?
That's right.
I
That's
mean,
the idea behind it.
That's the reason that you need a PUD, correct?
That's one of the reasons.
One reason.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
one reason.
So, say 20 years ago, we had lots that were platted south of town, and wasn't there a deal made where if you were already platted, you had the right to get on the city sewer because we had allowed subdivisions to get on the city sewer, and so we drew a line in the sand
Until
and said,
the sewer capacity cap.
till it topped out. And so we made a deal, you had to be platted. So from then on, of course, those people went to county schools, right? So now,
You didn't have to be platted, you just had to be in the growth area. And it's just about to reach the point of being full.
so, well, I guess that brings up a whole nother topic about sewer capacity. I mean,
And they're in the growth area, so if they were just a regular subdivision and they wished to stay in the county, they could still be on our city sewer, right?
They could, yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, if y'all don't mind, so if you were in the county, I'm just going, for my simplicity, my simple mind, you could still develop this in the county as a,
We could
So-
present this to a county. It would require a plethora of variance requests that doesn't meet their typical regulations. And it's been my experience that they don't grant very many variance requests anymore.
So basically, what you just told me is your only hopes of getting this thing approved,
Yeah.
is getting it annexed into the city.
But, yes, sir.
So, okay.
Can you tell us why the city would want to annex this property?
I think the economics that he brought up earlier, I mean, that's a large base. And if you look at the 69 South Corridor, you just mentioned it, that the sewer is approaching its final capacity. But if you look from basically Lowe's all the way down to south at the end of Ridgehaven or Hinton Place, which is the extent of the sewer going south, there are not many parcels left to develop. This is probably one of the last one or two. And, you know, to me, it makes a lot of sense to,
And reason I'm asking that, is that in the growth area for the city, to be willing to offer services several miles from any other residential city neighborhood?
sure, I understand that. I think we asked those questions and we got positive responses, except for environmental. And of course, they have options for environmental there that are not city.
what about the city school system?
We reached out to the city school system, and I believe they submitted a letter to the city talking about the availability and capacity to handle those students that would be coming up, in years to come from this subdivision.
Is it in the police jurisdiction?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
far does the PJ go?
PJ.
Shelton's in.
And fire too, Eddie? Okay.
I think it's in the PJ, but I think we were informed that the sheriff's department answered calls that, correct? You would not?
Shelton's what makes this property contiguous, and going way back to when Shelton started, that was a legislative annexation that was pushed to benefit Shelton by a legislator and extending water and sewer out to them.
I don't know that I'd use a word that you got positive feedback from other city services, except environmental services. Having worked at the fire department, I know on Skyline Boulevard, getting to this site's a pretty good way. So I think what the city's saying, they can provide services, but they're not going to be at the top of the line like most people expect.
Understood.
That may be an effect on the ISO rating as well.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Attorney, you said there might be an effect on what kind of rating?
The ISO rating is something the fire department does to get if you get a good rating, then your insurance is better.
Who serves all of them down there now? Does it have a
Volunteer.
volunteer?
Duncanville, Englewood, Hulls, Tuscaloosa Fire.
Duncan?
Duncanville will respond over there also. They do mutual aid.
Any other questions for Mr. Sims? I'd like to hear from the traffic engineer real quickly, if he wouldn't
Sure.
mind. If you come
Philip
up.
Crawley.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Philip Crawley, 923 10th Street Southwest, Alabaster 35007. Good evening. So, questions?
I guess one of the questions that was brought up was about the grading. I want a better, clear understanding of what that means. I mean, is that like when he says he didn't knock anything down, is that on an average basis or is that an hourly basis? Because we all know that 7 to 9 and from 3 to 3 to 6, 3 to 5 is obviously high congestion areas for any neighborhood.
Yes, so typically when we do a traffic study, we focus on two peak hours of the day, typically the morning, 7 to 8, and the evenings, typically 4 to 5. And if the roadways can handle the amount of cars that are flowing on in those two highest hours, we assume that it's okay for the rest of them, barring, very extreme circumstances. And in terms of the LOS, like you said, it's graded on a scale of A to F. And what that just basically means is if you get on the road and you want to go from point A to point B, how easy is it for you to do it? How quickly can you do it? And if it's A, typically there's no congestion, there's very little waiting. And if it's F, you're at standstill, not going anywhere. The analogy I like to use is imagine the road is kind of like a bucket and it's got a hole in the bottom. And you pour water in, and that's the cars. So if you have LOS A, the water's coming in, the water's coming out, and there's no buildup in the level of the bucket. But the more water you put in, the higher it gets up, and if it gets to F, eventually it'll overflow and spill out. And so what he's saying is that when there's no negative impact, he's saying that if we add all the cars onto the road that this site's going to generate, nothing's going to change in terms of how long it takes someone to get from point A to point B.
So what was, what, let me ask. So, okay. So what was the
Sorry,
grade?
I'm a little hard of hearing.
All right, let's,
What was the grade? Was it an A? It was still an A?
A's and B's.
It was still an A and B? With
So
all of those?
So even adding on all these cars that these 262 lots are going to produce, there's not going to be any change in the service people are experiencing.
Okay. All right. Have you driven down there?
In that spot specifically, no, but I have driven on 69.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, you haven't driven that?
Yeah, it may not.
I've done a few other projects in this area, and it's fun.
You better get a bigger bucket.
I'm just curious, okay, this is,
Yes, ma'am.
but, okay, so people coming out of this proposed subdivision as well as Waterford, they exit onto Greensboro Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I assume there are no red lights on Greensboro Road, correct?
No, the only one is the intersection to the south at the college.
Okay, so there's a red light on Greensboro Road into Shelton?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'm seeing where that would be. All right, so you're coming out of this proposed subdivision and/or Waterford. You travel up Old Greensboro, but I'm sure they're gonna wanna get on 69 at some point. Where do they do that? And is there a red light? I mean, I'm just thinking about cars coming out for, going to school or going to work and then coming home and getting out of that subdivision. I mean, I'm sure the roads can handle it. I don't have any problem with that. I worry about when people get to an intersection and how they get out in the morning and in the evening, and the traffic inside this subdivision with that many cars. I mean, is that studied? Is that part of what y'all look into?
Yes, so typically what we do is we take, like in this case, 262 family lots, and the Institute of Transportation Engineers has a set of equations that will basically, or a set of data that says if you have 10 homes, there will be 2 cars added onto the road. If you have 20 homes, it'll be 4 cars, so on and so forth. And what we do is we figure out that volume and we place them along the roadway network as though someone was actually driving out. So we studied that intersection right there at the college, the one just to the north of that, which is Wisteria Drive, that small little subdivision. And then we also did Southview Lane, which is right under the O in Old Greensboro Road. So when we do that, we look at the existing cars, where they're going. We use Wisteria Drive as an example. There's a few cars going south and then a lot of cars going north. So that's typically what people are going to do. So we mirrored that on the other side. And we routed the cars through. And then using some traffic engineering software, it basically tells us that the levels of service, and even with these added cars going to and from work, it's still looking peachy. Did that answer all your questions, or did I miss one?
Did you base that on 2 cars per
No,
house
sir.
in this case, in this particular case, or 4?
No, that was just an example. With the
what?
242 lots, there would be a total-
262.
262, yes. There would be a total of 198 cars in the morning peak hour. That would be cars coming in, cars coming out. And then 267 in the evening.
You based this on current traffic counts of Old Greensboro Road?
The trip generations is based on the Institute of Transportation Engineers. That's where we get that from. They take
Trip generation,
trip generation, yes, sir.
yeah, from where?
The Institute of Transportation Engineers.
And when was that study done, that last trip generation study?
I believe, I do not know when it was published off the top of my, I do not know when it was published off the top of my head, but they take data sets over the course of several decades at different locations that are similar to.
I guess what I'm asking is, how current was that trip generation study? What, I mean, was it this year?
The trip generation for what we did.
For Old Greensboro Road?
Yes.
Current traffic.
Yes, we got current traffic counts from, April. We got accounts in April,
April of 2023.
2024.
I think you just need to go drive that road. I worked at the fire college behind Shelton for several years, and between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning and 4:30 and 5:30 in the afternoon, you'd be better off at Talladega. That traffic with the elementary schools south of Shelton also, it's just right out of this picture. Shelton and all the surrounding neighborhoods, that traffic is pretty tough.
Any other questions for Skipper representative? I know we've got quite a few people here. Anyone else from your team want to speak? Let's hear, I think it's probably appropriate to hear from those in opposition, and I'll give you guys a chance to answer any additional questions that might come up. So thank you, sir. All right, so we're going to, we've got lots of emails, and they're all on the record. We're going to allow the 4 speakers that Mr. Harrison has in front of him to represent the ones in opposition. So with that being said.
Mr. Chairman, first speaker is Carol Armstrong.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Carol Armstrong, 1545 Waterford Lane. As we clearly established at the June Commission meeting, the residents of Waterford Place, many of whom are in attendance this evening, strongly oppose this Dawkins Place proposal. We've reviewed the minimal revisions proposed by D.R. Horton, and we still strongly oppose this development. Residents of other surrounding neighborhoods, some of whom are here tonight, join us in our opposition. Can I have a show of hands of everybody that's here for the Dawkins Place? Okay, mostly everybody. As a community-minded neighborhood, we're extremely concerned about the negative impact of this development to the safety and health of residents in our neighborhood as well as surrounding neighborhoods. My fellow residents and of Waterford Place and some of the other subdivisions will address some of these issues in more detail during their allotted speaking time, but I wanted to just kind of go through the main points. Traffic impacts, detrimental to health and safety. Site runoff to adjoining lots, detrimental to health and safety. Lake use and upkeep, detrimental to health and safety. Sewer system infrastructure, detrimental to health and safety. Police and fire services, or the lack thereof, detrimental to health and safety. Busing students several miles to a city school, detrimental to health and safety. The city's long-term plan, the framework, the long-term vision, it sets the direction for the city's growth and development. And the challenges to overcome that are listed in the framework include creating more attractive development, being good stewards of natural resources, infrastructure challenges. City needs to consider the long-term cost of infrastructure and where and how it grows. Smart investments. You got to make smart investments to maximize the city's resources. I trust the commission will follow the city's long-term plan as set forth in framework and making its decision this evening. And that's all I have. Questions? No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next person we have signed up is Tiffany Ezel.
Hey, I'm Tiffany Ezel, 1701 Waterford Lane. There are a few things I would like to mention regarding the city's comprehensive plan frameworks and how it ties into the issue we are facing tonight. Here are some bullet points in your plan. Create more attractive neighborhoods. What do you find attractive about a high-density neighborhood from an out-of-state developer that has a reputation for turning the dream of home ownership into a nightmare, leaving behind shoddy construction, financial and emotional hardships, and unmanaged neighborhoods? Their legal woes from homeowners and governmental agencies cast a long shadow over their reputation. 2, it states, strengthen existing neighborhoods and protect existing neighborhood character. This development weakens the adjacent neighborhoods. How does adding nearly an additional 3,000 daily trips onto an already congested 2-lane road strengthen our community? It will not. There will be more accidents on 69 South and Old Greensboro Road. Does their traffic study take into account what the additional traffic that is expected with the upcoming Walmart neighborhood market? Number 3, it states, maintain a high standard for city services. This city has phenomenal police and fire departments. Why would we burden these departments for the sake of a below-par developer? Have you ever seen emergency vehicles attempt to navigate 69 South? It is gridlocked during certain times of the day. This affects the health and safety of our families. Number 4, framework said, protect what we treasure. Probably no one in this room has been untouched by the cost increase of goods in today's economy. The one tangible thing that we treasure that has held its value is our home. More than likely, it's one of our biggest investments, and with approval of this development, we immediately lose value in our investment. Why would anyone think it's okay to approve a development that will be detrimental to middle-class Tuscaloosians for the benefit of an out-of-state developer that doesn't even use local suppliers and workforce? The contractors they employ take their paycheck and spend it elsewhere. 5th, community desires. This is not just a Waterford Place fight. This is a 69 South community fight, and this community does not desire Dawkins Place. There is not one aspect of this development that is desirable. Would you desire this next to you? On to some of our points of contention. We've talked about these. Infrastructure. Can the existing sewer system handle the additional flow? The engineer just stated that the existing sewer system is approaching its capacity. As you are aware, Valley View Baptist Church and Inglewood Elementary have had significant sewer issues. This poses a dangerous health issue when sewer systems are strained. Secondly, the words of D.R. Horton's engineer stated in the first commission meeting that this would be a standalone subdivision. In this case, Dawkins Place does not need to connect their streets to our streets regardless of a gate. Waterford Place, South Ridge, Inverness, Mallard Creek, Hillcrest Gardens, and other neighborhoods are a true definition of a standalone neighborhood. None of these neighborhoods need any type of access to adjacent properties to serve their neighborhood in any capacity. The density of this development exceeds adjacent neighborhoods. Putting the burden onto mature, established neighborhoods is insane. Responsible developments do not interrupt the privacy, security, and well-being of existing neighbors. Lastly, I hope you were able to see the videos of one of the issues with Waterford Lake. In the video, you saw flooding that endangered the property of our owners. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But for a company to say, quote, our attorneys will submit a lake management plan as an answer to a health and safety concern is absurd. How will an attorney ensure that the residents downstream are not put in danger? Remember this, D.R. Horton creates a demand for themselves only. They don't bring any value to the 69 South community nor to Tuscaloosa. Our 69 South community has nearly 1,000 homes platted or in the pipeline. There is not a surplus of demand versus supply. No residential property has been lasso annexed into the city such as this. Is a development with so much contention a good template for the precedent that this will set? This is a gross, overcrowded, ill-designed development that will strain our infrastructure and devalue our property. Please do not let D.R. Horton be a standard for the city of Tuscaloosa. We are better than this, we expect better than this, and we deserve better than this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next person signed up to speak is Craig Whitfield.
Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, thank you for letting me speak this afternoon. My name is Craig Whitfield. My address is 1609 Mallard Circle. I'm speaking as an individual homeowner in Mallard Creek concerning the Dawkins property annexation request on the development of the property proposed by D.R. Horton. I am in opposition of the annexation of this property and urge this commission to vote against it. D.R. Horton is bringing this to the city because the area is within the city's planning jurisdiction, and since the county told them the development project would not be supported by the county commission when it was submitted. I have the same concerns that have been voiced previously. Traffic congestion with over 2,800 car trips daily onto Old Greensboro Road, which is only 2 lanes, and that traffic added to Highway 69 South, which is already heavily traveled. Safety concerns due to the proposed building density, which could hinder access by emergency response vehicles. City school overcrowding. The children in the proposed subdivision would have to be bused several miles to the closest city schools. Emergency response. The city would be responsible for providing police and fire protection for this proposed subdivision. Police response will be longer unless a satellite precinct were built somewhere along Highway 69 South. Fire response will be longer as the closest city fire station is several miles away. This can equate to higher premiums for the homeowner's insurance. That alternative could be solved possibly by the city having to build a satellite fire station along Highway 69 South. As far as community consistency and investment, the surrounding subdivisions appear to be less dense than the proposed subdivision, this one. The D.R. Horton project does not appear to be consistent with the prevailing residential building density of the surrounding area. I've been given to understand that D.R. Horton does not typically use local building contractors, local suppliers, or local banks for financing. Thus, neither the county nor the city will see much money spent in the local community from this project. I also understand that D.R. Horton provides 100% financing, which could call into question the proper vetting of borrowers. Quality and property values. D.R. Horton has been in the news lately concerning problems with the houses they've built in other counties and other states. There are several individual and class action lawsuits currently pending against D.R. Horton in 6 southern states, to include Alabama, concerning substandard construction, shoddy materials, and failure to correct reported problems. They come in, build their housing as quickly as possible, and then leave, sometimes with questionable commitment to the community and the homeowners. As a result, property values of what they build can be marginal, and more importantly, property values of surrounding subdivisions can suffer. This particular project could be bad for the county and bad for the city. If allowed to go forward, the city could find itself in the news in a few years for all the wrong reasons based on their connection with approving this project. Again, I urge this commission to vote against the annexation of the Dawkins property and against this project as currently submitted. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next person signed up is Harris Boland.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission, my name is Parrish Boland. My address is 1550 Waterford Lane, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Thank you for the opportunity to address the critical issue of housing construction along Highway 69 South. There are nearly 1,400 low-cost houses under construction or lots ready for construction in the Highway 69 South area. These 1,400 locations do not include already finished houses, the proposed development next to Waterford Place, or unstarted phases of current hyperdense developments. I bring the following concerns to your attention. Traffic flow. The current traffic flow on Highway 69 South is already strained due to existing congestion. On Old Greensboro Road, which passes in front of neighboring subdivisions, will become impassable. Emergency safety response concerns. A development so dense, emergency vehicles cannot pass through it. How irresponsible. Highway 69 South, so possibly gridlocked that city emergency vehicles cannot get to the development. School overcrowding. Highway 69 South schools and city educational institutions are already overcrowded, and they have no money. The city is having to raise taxes to pay for what they already have. Why would the city want to annex a residential area and compound its current situation? Investments. We, the current residents of Highway 69 South, have made significant investments in our homes, neighborhoods, and community. The majority of these low-cost homes, if not all, are financed at 100%. There's no investment, no buy-in, no commitment to care for your house, yard, neighborhood, or community. A person can just walk away and not lose anything, but we lose. In conclusion, let's look at who is gaining in this development. The city is having revenue issues and needs to raise taxes. Why would they want to compound these issues by annexing a residential area and increasing their cost? If annexed, more city buses, drivers, emergency, and police substations will surely be needed. This is an additional city cost. No local builders, building material, or financing is used. Therefore, there's no money spent in the community. The local community is left to clean up the mess, the overcrowding, traffic, and safety issues, poorly kept areas, more crime, and loss of home values. There's only one winner. All this would be done for the sole benefit of D.R. Horton. The D.R. Horton representative made a very impactful statement the first time we met with the commission. After we laid out our issues, the D.R. Horton rep said, "It's not anything we haven't heard before." Think about that. I take that as meaning they do not care about the concerns of the community as they continue to build these hyper-dense developments and are allowed to keep doing so, even in the face of a community that has had enough. Now, they're trying to do the same thing in Helena. When are we, as a community and city, going to say, either change your ways or move on, D.R. Horton? Let's work together to create a vibrant community that thrives without compromising safety, infrastructure, education, or our community. We ask, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission, you stand with us. Send a message. No more. Please vote no. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the last speaker is Mitch McDonald.
Mitch McDonald.
Wasn't expecting this, but okay.
Name and address for the record, please. Into the microphone.
My name is Mitch McDonald, 2008 Waterford Lane. I like to wake y'all up because it seems like everybody's trying to go to sleep right now. You seen the movie Barbershop?
Calvin Jr. tried to sell his barbershop and later realized that how much it meant to him in his famous legacy, because it was 58 years. So he changed his mind and kept in his family. That's what this community means to us. And everything that's been said to this point, I agree to about the development, because it's going to decrease our property value. And we've already got to the point that our property value has increased in the last 5-10 years, and this would totally erase that. I'm here because I love the community, I love the school systems, and the people. It's the people that make the community. It's nothing else. And when somebody tries to take that away from you, that's when it means the most. So everything's been said to this point. I don't even have to say again. Only thing I'm saying is I'd say no.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, we'll allow the petitioner to address any of the issues that have been brought up if they wish to.
Thank you all. Just a couple of notes. D.R. Horton does use local contractors, local subs, in all of our projects for the most part. We work with, a lot of local developers. We use really the same guys that the local home builders are going to use. I'm a Central Alabama resident. All of our employees at the Birmingham level are Central Alabama residents, and we have many Tuscaloosa and Northport residents. And to say that it's not helpful to the middle class to provide housing that is attainable when that is such a challenge for all of us in this community, I don't know if that's really fair to say that we provide housing, we provide income, and provide jobs, spur commercial that provides more jobs and more opportunities for recreation. Those are all helpful to a middle class and to the whole community. And we, on average with our pricing and our square footage, if we build a 1,800 square foot home and we sell it for $310,000, that's $175 a square foot, which I believe is probably going to be a good bit higher than the median's price per square foot of the surrounding area. This is new construction that we're proud of. I work in our office in Hoover, and we have homeowners come into the first floor all the time, and they're on their closing day, and they're so excited to live in a D.R. Horton home. On average, our survey for our homeowners is about a 4.8 out of 5. So I heard a lot of talk about some different horror stories, but end of the day, we do get to make a lot of people happy in Central Alabama that we are proud of. Thank you.
Just quickly, the only thing I really wanted to reiterate was any new development, whether it's residential, commercial, is going to bring traffic. It's going to bring people. And I think wherever you're at, the answer to whether or not this is going to be a significant detrimental impact is to hire a professional to do that study for you. And I know it's personal to people, and I understand the passion about it. And, I get home my place sometime, and I'm backed up 20 deep, and I'm mad about it. But at the end of the day, that traffic study may tell me I shouldn't be mad about it. But I think the key is that we're trying to do everything that needs to be done to ensure that we're not putting something substandard in the city, not affecting utilities detrimentally, not affecting traffic detrimentally, and just trying to put our best foot forward.
Sure. Well, allow the county commissioner to.
I won't belabor the point. Mark Nelson, 11459 Woodbank Ridge. Thanks again for what you do and taking the time to do it. I'm not going to belabor any of the points they made. Great points, all true. I wanted to touch on just a couple of things, one of which I said out loud, but I want to make sure was reiterated, is that this will be TPD's subdivision. It will not be the Sheriff's Department subdivision. And I think that could have a detrimental effect in response time to many things. Our agreement is we handle the residential areas in the county and the PJ. If there's a city business license, the city handles that from TPD standpoints. This is a big deviation from that. I don't think it's one that should be taken lightly. I'm also worried about we've just kind of said environmental didn't agree with it. Well, that's a pretty big deal, because take it from me, I deal with trash and I deal with roadside problems all the time. Even Inverness Apartments that are right close to there, they have a problem with their dumpster because they do their internal trash, take it to a dumpster. I don't think that we should have a neighborhood subdivision approved that's of this density and this side that's going to say we're going to take care of our own trash. What about the bulk pickup on the side of the road? We all know what kind of problem that can cause. And, the Walmart development, great example. Does Skipper know what's happening with the Tuscaloosa County Road Commission as far as what improvements are going to be made at 69 South and Skyline and what the status of that is right now? Because right now, those improvements are in dire straits. How will that affect what does or doesn't happen on Highway 69? And I'll just say as a caveat, the next time I get a traffic study that says that a subdivision is a bad idea, it'll be my first one. But, I'm a lawyer, so we do that kind of thing as well. But, so those are important things. I'm worried about when the traffic study was done relative to when Shelton was in, what was going on with the school. Nobody came to the county. It happens to be our road. What's going to happen when they hook into that road? How are they going to do it? Are they proposing a stop sign, or are they just proposing that there's a stop sign in the neighborhood? Where do we stand on that? And I think, again, not to belabor their points, but just one final point. I think when the legislature did the annexation to get Shelton State, I don't think it was done to do a residential neighborhood next to Shelton State. I think it was done to give the services to Shelton State that they needed so we could have a first-class junior college. They could have sewer, they could have everything they needed. It wasn't done and this would be the first one. So, again, thank you for your time, what you do. I know you've listened to these folks, and I know that what you do is very hard, and thanks for the time you spent with it. But I would encourage you to vote no on this development, because I don't think it's in the best interest of the community in the county or the city of Tuscaloosa. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. I didn't hear anything that was brought up that was new information that I don't think the parties of interest would need to readdress. So with that being said, we'll close to the public and have a conversation among the members of the commission. And of course, we'll take 4 separate votes, and we'll kind of address each one as we get to them. But I'll open it up to the comments from the commission members.
Let me ask Mike Garner, let me ask you a question. Thought you were going to get by tonight. The difference in the tap fees on this development, it being annexed into the city versus it being it currently in the county. We talked about that in the first meeting.
Yes, sir. It's slightly over $1,900 for a residential neighbor or home to tie onto the city of Tuscaloosa sewer in this sewer exception district. It's called a tap fee. And it's how we recover the cost of the millions of dollars that we spent extending sewer into this district.
So that's $1,900 it being in the city, it being annexed into the city.
Well, if they annex into the city, then they would not pay a tap fee.
So if they annex in the city, they save $1,900
Per lot, yes, sir.
per lot.
Per lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Woodson, I'm still kind of hung up on the lake part. Part of it's in this subdivision, part of it's in the other subdivision. Even if we didn't bring it into the city and they went to the county, is that not got to be resolved before anything can be done? What if the neighboring subdivision says, we don't want to have anything to do with it? I'm still confused about that a little bit.
They're going to have to work that out for this development work. We have several failing lakes now that were built in the early 60s and early 70s, and 3 or 4 are failing now or badly need maintenance. If they have no agreement, when that time comes, there's no money to do it. So it's imperative that they do get an agreement between the 2 of them.
But it sounds to me like they're not agreeing on a whole lot now. What makes you think they're going to agree on the lake?
Right. You're right.
I think we could require an agreement before they get to the subdivision plat.
In the county also.
Yes, they could do the same. If it-
Now, I guess one observation, one thing I heard quite a bit was concern about their home values and, whether our home values would be deteriorated in some way. And I don't know, in 16, 18 years or whatever I've been doing this, it seems like that every time subdivision comes along, that the new cost is higher than the old cost. And so therefore, it really tends to prop up the people that lived there before because they're usually building smaller houses for more money. But I heard the representative, this young gentleman, say that, we're gonna build and sell houses for a price per square foot. I think he may have mentioned 175. And I've been on Zillow. I love Zillow. And so I've been looking at every house for sale within a close proximity, and that's pretty close to the price. And so at first I thought, well, it wouldn't diminish the price, but then I thought over the last 3 years, we've experienced such inflation that you'd almost have to, like I've heard the number 20% over the last 3 years. Would it make sense that maybe you would get 20% less in the quality of the house? I mean, in other words, if it's 175 and the old ones were built before 3 years ago were 175, is it possible that you would actually get $34 less per value per foot? I mean, are you following me? In other words, it might sell for 175, but compared to, say, 3 or 4 years ago, you might be getting a house that might be close to 100, 135. I don't know. Now, I guess I kind of wanted to get that rebuttal before you close discussion because it just made me wonder if that's what we're talking about when we're talking about D.R. Horton and the workmanship and stuff. And I know, look, he did a good job of representing his company, and I believe he believes everything he's saying. And I do believe that they have customers that are happy. But it is true that it's not hard to find, stories about the company. And I'm sure that's something that they have to work against every day. That's just an observation about in all these years, I don't know, can y'all remember a case where someone built a house that was actually the same price? Seems like they've just always been more as time goes on. Anyway, I mean, I guess you're providing a home for a low price, but I'm not sure that doesn't raise some question in and of itself. That's just a comment. And I don't know if can you even vote on a petition based on that? Can you vote on a petition based on the way you feel about how it may impact the adjoining homeowner's value? This one. I mean, okay, well, pick one. I mean, can you deny any of them based on how you feel how it would affect a neighboring?
I think your recommendation for a PUD, if there was evidence that would affect home values, you might recommend against it for that reason.
Okay.
But you have to be satisfied with the evidence.
You wouldn't be underwater legally?
No.
Okay.
From my perspective, I go back to the original comment about the annexation, and we talk a lot about this body about spot zoning and putting a commercial right next to a residential. And here's the case for me is talking back to health, safety, and welfare, and fire and police, and to have a property annexed so far from other residential city annexed areas is problematic. And then obviously, if you didn't touch the school's not going to come out and say whether they're for or against. They're going to have just to absorb whatever they get. But I got to think that it would be an odd neighborhood where your next door neighborhood neighbors go to different schools, and you're having to trek all the way across, especially coming up with all the road construction on 69 South. It's going to be a real mess. And that's the one that I get. We all know we need affordable housing. We talk about workforce housing all the time. And there's no housing that's really affordable anymore. I mean, you can't get anything less than $250 that's, I think, enjoyable. So we're kind of in the dilemma of we need more housing. However, it's not necessarily we need the housing or not the housing. It's the fact that they're asking to be annexed into the city where, again, the services would not be very serviceable in my mind. So that's kind of where I have the most issues with is the annexation piece of it.
Chairman, I'm much like you. The annexation is where I've got a problem with it. In conjunction with what we talked about, island annexation, I know it's not, doesn't currently meet the island annexation with Shelton there, but it certainly meets the intent of it, is where it's at. The issue with busing kids all the way to Bryant High School puts an additional load on our city school system. When, if it was brought into the county, you got county schools fairly close. County's already said that this could not be approved in it, so to get it approved, they're bringing it to the city to be annexed. Coupled with the fact that by annexing into the city, the developer saves $500,000 in tap fees. You know, if that developer wants to put that money back into that development and show us examples of that. I saw some grandiose signs and walls and parks and things like that. I didn't see any of it here. I saw examples of what could. I'm tired of being a litmus test for a developer of what could. I want to see what they are going to do if they're going to do things like that. So by not showing their hands on those things, it means they're using us again as a litmus test to approve a project. So annexation is where I have.
Any other comments from?
Let me, one other thing. I will say to the residents, look, y'all got passion and we appreciate it. We spent 3 nights with you. And I understand you coming out and what you want to do, but this is a great piece of property. At some point in time, somebody's going to develop it. Somebody's going to do something that's right on it. And I mean, the stub streets are there for a reason. You need to understand that. But I'm not sure this is the right.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you all for bearing this storm and coming out once again. And I hope that after tonight, you will feel less burdened by this situation. But as chair of the Public Safety Committee and the representative of District 2, which is where this development would be annexed if that's the case, I would just like to say that I'm strongly against the annexation of this project for several reasons, and I'll be quick. I do just want to reiterate the public safety aspect. I'm currently aware of some issues that we're dealing with, not issues, but concerns with TPD, and we have found ways to fix those problems, and I have worked with my community in District 2 to make them feel better about those issues, but I feel like a situation, a development like this would only make those issues occur again. It would not help our response times. It will not be beneficial to the community that already exists within the city limits of District 2. I would also like to say that we have worked hard to accommodate our police and fire department with benefits, and I would not want to do anything that would hurt our ratings with insurance, as our attorney has stated. So this also gives me concerns, this development. I'm aware, I know that we've had a traffic study completed, but I'm aware of what the current traffic flows are like. I know that our representatives have told us that our school system was in favor of this project, but I still have some concerns about relay times and hold-up times for our bus systems. So once again, I have a lot of concerns when it comes to the annexation of this development, and I know that all of you have other concerns, but I think for me, my biggest concern is putting this burden on the city of Tuscaloosa, our services that we provide, especially our public safety services. So those are my comments.
So Councilwoman Howard, can I ask you a question? So annexing this in, I know you said you got the public health and safety to a good place right now. Would that put a strain? Is it fair to say it would put an additional strain on you annexing this into the city?
Yes, I feel that this would definitely be a burden on our police department. That's how I feel. Response times, especially around football season, which is among us now, is something that we are already planning for. We're making sure that our police department is not overworked. Our police officers are not overworked. We need our police department in the city of Tuscaloosa. And I, especially as chair of public safety, I do not want to agree to do anything that will put our services further out or stress our police department. So a project of this magnitude with this density, as far out as it is, does concern me. And once again, I wanted to make sure that we can preserve the integrity of our fire department also. I would hate to see the students in our school system have to make a commute in the morning in that traffic and be held up or be in a stressful situation, getting to school or trying to get home in the afternoons. So once again, I still have some questions about the traffic study that was submitted, because I know what I see every day and every morning, every afternoon. And so I feel that some things need to be worked out a little bit more. So I'm totally against the annexation.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want some clarification to help me with my voting and everything. I realize there are no variances on S 5524, which basically means we've got to approve it. The annexation, for all the reasons everybody else has stated, I'm not in favor of that. I realize we have to continue to vote on the PO 324 and the PS 5624 because we are a recommending body only to the city council regarding the annexation.
And the planned unit development.
So in case they do approve that annexation, and I don't know what the vote will be, but it sounds like it's probably going to be no to the annexation. If they override us, then our vote on both these others is a final vote, correct? Or does the PUD go to the city for final approval?
PUD also goes to the city council for
See,
approval.
that confused me because we used to vote on county PUDs and we were the final decision for the county PUDs. Okay, so, all right, the subdivision is PS 5624. If in fact I think that there are traffic issues, there are other health and safety issues, there are investment issues with surrounding property, I can vote no on that one.
We'll defer to.
There are no variance requests
You
on
can
that.
vote no and state your
Yeah,
reasons.
state a
Now,
reason,
whether those
right.
would be reasons that will be upheld, you've got a traffic study that says one thing and an opinion that says another, but you can vote no and state your reasons.
That's which one?
On the subdivision, and that's PS 56.
56.
The PUD, however, did I
No,
do that?
no, he did.
Oh,
I did.
okay. All right, the PUD, however, if in fact it was annexed into the city, the PUD would be, meets our regulations.
The PUD subdivision. The PUD subdivision does.
The PUD
But when you look at a
subdivision.
PUD, you look at the narrative, you look at,
Yeah, PUD by definition doesn't mean any subdivision.
Well, not subdivision, just any of our
The PUD could meet
criteria, I guess.
certain minimum standards, but it doesn't mean you have to approve it because it meets minimum standards.
Okay. Right, but they've asked for no variances on either subdivision, correct?
there is a variance request on S 5524 for lot configuration.
Yeah, is that the width of the lots?
No, it was,
That's the 3-lot subdivision.
it's the one that has kind of, it's that remnant kind of back piece, kind of, it doesn't conform to really what a lot should look like, so.
Okay.
Everybody in a good spot?
Let's see.
Question-wise for staff?
Sounds like what I'm hearing is it could put the city in a hardship as it relates to logistics, operations, and even cost. Not to mention, health, safety, and welfare in a extreme case. Is that what I'm hearing from the ex-city councilman and the city councilman?
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Commission, let's pull these items up, and we are going to take roll call votes on all these. And so we'll start with S 5524, the Dawkins 3-lot subdivision. We have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Rumsey.
No.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. All right, annexation. Okay. All right, annexation 1324, the annexation of 76.55 acres located at 9334 Old Greensboro Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Howard.
No.
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 No?
No.
No.
No. All right. commission, we have P 0324 Dawkins Place, a PUD development with 262 single-family residential lots. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Rumsey?
No.
No?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Right. All right, so now we'll tackle PS 5624. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve contingent upon annexation.
Accepted. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Mr. Rumsey?
No.
No?
No.
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 No. Is everyone clear? This will still go to city council on the annexation and the others if it is approved for the annexation. So you guys will get another bite at the apple, not in front of this body.
All right, so we'll move into our next
Yep.
case.
This
Y'all can
case is
clear out.
over. If you guys want to depart, we'll take a 30-second break for everybody to depart.
They just confused. They just confused now, I think. They look confused.
Goes with another.
Huh?
Annexation. Annexation.
Thank you, guys.
It was an ongoing thing with city comes. I mean, you had to check everything.
All right, hurt them out of here, please.
Now, I know and I appreciate the Lord is very detailed. If I'm gonna give something, I mean, I'm open. He tells me. You know what I mean? So, and he'll tell me if I can. That's why I asked him about the retired.
You bring a celebrity with you?
Hey.
Oh, no. Can we get security up here? Can we help us vacate the chamber, please? All right, let's go ahead. They're quiet enough now. Be here
All
forever.
right, so we're moving into cases to be heard. That was unfinished business. So this is companion case B, Z1224. So this is a rezoning and a subdivision. Weaver Reynolds LLC petitions to rezone approximately 0.16 acres located at 1300 Paul W. Bryant Drive from BNU to RMF2U in conjunction with S6124. And this is Council District 4. And so we'll go through this one first. So this is the location of the property on the corner of Red Drew Avenue and Paul W. Bryant Drive. This is the Zone BN currently, as you can see here, surrounded by RMF2 and a little bit of BN as well. Aerial of the property, so this is that old one-stop or one-coin laundry, one-stop coin laundry, I believe is what it's called. One-stop laundry. Still operating today. Applicants requesting to rezone from BNU to RMF2U to allow for a multifamily residential development. So here's the proposed site plan. It's a triplex with 9 bedrooms total. Parking kind of on the rear of on the rear of Paul Bryant. They will update the streetscape as well. And then here are some renderings of the proposed elevation, or the elevations of the proposed development. And then the renderings, so you can see kind of what that might look like. It does not conform to framework for the plan as well as the intended use. So framework identifies this as campus services. It's currently commercial today, provides a service to the campus area. And so the campus service area on the future land use character map includes commercial and mixed use development, mix of uses either within a single building or connected site. This is just going to be a standalone multifamily, which is why it does not conform to framework. And then these are the permitted uses in the RMF2 zoning district. And then we can move into companion case, or S6124. This is going to be 1300 Bryant Drive, a resurvey of lots 6 through 8, block 103 Capstone Court, consisting of one lot on approximately 0.16 acres, located at 1300 Paul W. Bryant Drive in conjunction with Z1224 in Council District 4. So there's an existing lot line, and they're just removing that lot line in order to build this development. They're not requesting any variances with this subdivision.
Petitioner.
Can you go back to the floor plan?
Yes.
What is all the red around it? What's that zone? Is that commercial too?
Something like that little spot area.
Yeah, so the zoning around this area is primarily RMF2U, which is
that's
what they're
what-
proposing to go to. And then there's some BN.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? Petitioner.
Good evening, Commission. Jimmy Duncan with Duncan Coker Associates here tonight representing Weaver Rentals LLC. Philip Jr. is here with me as well as Lee Alexander, the project architect. Zach pretty much covered everything. One thing that we will mention, these units are going to be for sale, so we're going to come back before you if we're successful tonight with a condominium component. Basically, 3 3-bedroom units, a triplex on the surface, but we will convert them to condominiums.
How many bedrooms did you say?
I'm sorry, Mr. Rumsey?
What did you say, they're 3s?
Yes, sir, 3 bedrooms.
Jimmy, I guess the big concern that maybe the developer, the owner needs to address, this big concern from the city standpoint is losing that last bastion of commercial space in this district. I mean, it was, and during framework, it was classified as a reason of what we wanted it to be. Obviously, as campus, some sort of campus service, it does currently serve. I guess students still do laundry. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
they don't.
interestingly enough, I spoke with the current owner about another project. He's a gentleman from Tennessee, and operationally, the way that laundromat is running is not to today's model. I mean, it's completely different. And this gentleman has maybe perhaps a dozen scattered about North Alabama, Southern Tennessee, and it's just that. The walk in with a laundry basket, wash your laundry.
Whether it's a
doesn't work anymore.
laundry or something that commercially serves students around the campus,
I understand.
it's just what, I guess what the city would be concerned.
Yes, sir.
Called out that way in framework, so.
So these are flats?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought they were townhomes.
Plus, we lose the tax base.
Any questions for petitioner? Any other, your group want to make any comments?
No, sir. I will say one thing, Liz, the renderings that were the last slide that Zach threw up, those are just what we refer to as white boxes. In the interest of time, we didn't have enough time to put finishes on those for Mr. Weaver to select them, so that's just think of that as a skeleton, three-dimensional rendering.
Put some meat on those bones. How about that? Any other questions for petitioner?
Range of sales price?
Philip, do you have an idea of range of sales price yet on these?
Probably $1 million.
Million.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone sign up or care to speak for or against this petition request? Okay. Having heard none. Any commissioner want to make any comments? Having heard none. All right, Commissioner, before us, we have Z 1224. We were Reynolds petition to rezone that 1.6 acres on Paul Bryant Drive from BNU to RMF 2U. We have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Rumsey.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved. Commission before us have S 6124, resurvey of 103 Capstone Court. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
All right, next up, we have a plan unit development. This is PO 424 North Bank Phase 5. This is amendment to the 2013 master plan for a residential development consisting of 9 townhome units and 1 single-family dwelling on approximately 3.54 acres on Lot 4 of North Bank, located at 1475 North Bank Parkway, Council District 3. So here's the location of that property within the North Bank kind of overall development. I believe it's the last piece of this development that's available for development. The PUD narrative states that it's an amendment to the 23 master plan to allow for that 9 townhome units and 1 single-family dwelling. The density is 2.9 dwelling units per acre, and the PUD proposal includes a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling. Each home will be 2 stories in height and are intended to be for rent. And then this is the initial kind of master plan when it first came forward. So just some history on this. I know you guys are familiar, but for those watching, this was approved as a PUD, so anything that comes forward would have to go through the PUD process. And so that's why they're here for you tonight, and you've seen every single development, every single building that has been developed in this prior. So here's what they're proposing. North is to your left, so it's shifted. You got that unit 1, which is technically a single-family home, and then units 2 through 10 are connected as apartment-style townhomes. You have smaller buildings in the front. Those are garages, I believe 1-car garages. There's multiple parking spots in front of each unit. And then just to get orientation, to the left-hand side of this screen, so just to the north, is Avenue Pub, the new Avenue Pub. And these are the renderings and elevations showing what they're proposing. And then the garage units. That's all I've got for y'all for this one. Any questions for me?
So do you show the, okay, here's the rendering of the elevation of the facing.
So these are the garages.
That's the garage, okay.
Yeah.
I see the garage doors,
So
obviously,
the
the flip
garage
side.
doors will face interior to the property.
Okay.
And you'll be seeing similar to this, I believe. And they can confirm that, but I believe that's the.
So I think that's the one below the garage doors.
Right. That's, the garage doors are facing, as I understand, garage doors are facing inside.
Yeah, so
that would be, that's what the side you'd see you go driving out. Right. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Any other questions for staff? Petitioner.
Commission, again, Jimmy Duncan with Duncan Coker Associates, here tonight representing River Building LLC. River Building LLC is the entity that developed Work South Building 1, which was on Lot 1, Work South Building 2, as well as the Avenue Pub. Basically, 85% of North Bank, with the exception of the Beaker Building, office building that's coming online very soon. That's Pettis Randall, Jay Evans, Todd Vick, and Mike Ellis. Jay is here with me tonight as well as Mr. Ellis, who happens to be the project architect. All these units are 3 bedrooms. To Zach's point, we've gone above and beyond on the parking with 33 spaces. And of course, the density is 2.8, 2.9 units per acre, where a maximum of 30 units per acre is allowed. So we're well below that threshold.
What's the square footage of the units? 2 through 10?
I'm sorry?
Square footage of units 2 through 10? 2,400.
2,400.
I just want to get whoever's going to explain these garages to.
I know, me too.
I'm just nosy.
Okay.
Is that going to be you?
Me and Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis?
Yeah.
I guess my question to you, these garages conditioned?
Sir?
Are they conditioned?
No, they are not.
I mean, I've been banned to my garage a couple times by my wife. It'd have been nice to have it conditioned.
They will be ventilated, but they are not to be conditioned.
The thought process behind this, I mean, we hadn't seen this. We'd like to.
The thought process, and this is done, throughout the Southeast and other developments, but what we're providing here is the townhomes for the clientele that would like to have kind of a scaled-down approach in the 06 zip code. But also, we're providing a live, work, play environment with this development. Part of that is having the townhomes have a garage. And each of these sometimes are needed by the petitioner or by the owner or the renter or not. So that's why we have one per unit. And people like to have their cars in a garage. So that's why we have these structures. They also are located on the site to kind of give a little barrier from the commercial development to this residential development. You can see we're kind of coming through with that kind of entranceway there into our development as a residential development versus the rest of the parking lots that are for the commercial developments.
We'll back up the rendering of those garages for us. Elevations.
So we've used the same materials that we've used on all the other buildings in the village at North Bank. We're trying to create a village feel, so we have the same beige brick, same dark trim, same roof type, high-pitched roofs, gables facing the streets. We've broken up the masses with not only the brick, but also some brick detailing, banding across horizontally, but also with some brick details in the gables that match the buildings 1 and 2.
I think if you conditioned one, I might be a candidate.
Mr. Ellis, it also allows you to have cars kind of concealed, where you don't have a parking lot kind of with a lot of cars showing, kind of gives you that more.
That's what we're kind of seeing, that most people would probably have one car that would park in the garage, right, but then they'd probably have one car parked by the door or front door.
But it decreases the amount of cars just sitting out there in the open parking lot.
Yes.
You see it being a transition unit for someone that might be in town for a short period of time, or downsizing, or rebuilding, or?
I think that as you see, mortgage rates have gone up, but also cost of construction, that renters are going to be more prevalent going forward in the economy across the nation. So this is really going to be probably one of the first that you'll see coming before you as far as having for rent residential developments of this quality.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Thank you, gentlemen. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition request? Please come forward. Okay, having heard none. Commission, before us, we have a PUD development, P0424 North Bank Phase 5, which I believe is the final phase of North Bank. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion approved.
Mr. Rumsey?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, next up, we have another plan unit development. This is another amendment. So this was P0423. So this is PO 423-1, Cypress Creek Cove. This is amendment to the Cypress Creek Cove Plan Unit Development to allow detached single-family homes without a garage located at 4500 Cypress Creek Avenue East, and this is in Council District 7. So when this came before you, y'all are familiar with the area. It's off down Skyland Boulevard, kind of behind the sheriff's office there on Skyland. The narrative, this proposal is to request an alternative housing type consisting of single-family dwellings without an attached garage. They were approved, all of the renderings that were approved and elevations that were approved in the previous one did have garages, so this was a substantial enough change to bring forward to you guys again. Approved density, 25 dwelling units per acre, that's not changing. This PUD includes a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling. The homes will be 1 to 2 stories in height and are intended to be for sale. So here's the overall plan that you guys have previously seen, previously approved renderings here, and then the proposed renderings. So they're just pursuing some options that don't have garages within this development.
Can you go back a couple? I want to see the PUD narrative. One more, okay.
Wasn't there a square footage component to this?
Yes, and they can clarify that. The narrative that they had submitted, they did not intend to change the square footage of what they were proposing
All we're
within the
doing
narrative.
is doing away with garage?
That's right.
So
Yes, sir.
in the original PUD, did we have off-street parking?
So these won't, yeah, everyone had off-street parking, but instead of the off-street parking being in the garage, they're providing it in front of the unit.
So with a wide driveway? I mean, what, okay.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
So the square footage of the houses didn't change?
No, sir.
Back up to the render. They have to by deletion of
Didn't
the
you say,
garage.
what was the original square footage of the PUD we approved?
I don't know, but
A range?
I can look that up for you. It was like 1,300 to 2,500 maybe.
And this one is?
It was 1,300. This one is still 1,300 to, they're not changing the narrative based off of the square footage at all. It's
Let me look
just to
at-
change the renderings.
Show me the before and after renderings.
Mm-hmm.
Those are previously approved. So we don't have two-story homes anymore?
So they're not solely using these renderings, it's just another option that they have. So they'll provide a portion of them being with garages, and that would include that 2-story.
So they are gonna build some with garage?
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
so
Yes,
they're
sir.
just putting this in the mix?
They're just allowing this to be,
All right,
yeah,
so
in the
what's-
mix of
what's-
choices.
Yeah, they gonna build one house with a garage and the rest of them without? I mean, give me a proportion.
I think they can clarify
Let's
more
do
on
that.
that.
Let's have that conversation.
All right, any other questions for staff before we ask the petitioner to come forward? Petitioner?
Sorry for the long meeting. My name's Mason Lake, 2504 Huntington Park Court, Birmingham, Alabama, 35226. Did want to clarify, these additional plans that were submitted, they range from 899 square feet to 1417 square feet. So I believe that may have been incorrect on the narrative. And the plans, were just submitted because we would just like to have more options. There's tons of apartments all around this property. So basically, we'd like to have the option to build a house that you can, pay a little bit more than renting an apartment, but you're able to step into owning your home, and then potentially have that option to go up. I know Mr. Harrison asked for a percentage, and we would just like an option to be able to build all of them. We
So,
didn't want to commit to a percentage on the front
I
end.
guess my concern here is we approved a base minimum of 1,200, 1,300 square feet. I don't know what it is. And now you're telling us that you're dropping all the way back down to 899?
Yes, sir.
899?
Mm-hmm.
So what does an 899 square foot house look like? And I appreciate what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. You're giving some options, but I'm not seeing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense to you?
Is there a floor plan included on? So the smallest plan is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, has a living area and a kitchen. And then the other 2 garageless plans, it goes up to a 3-bedroom and then a 4-bedroom house. Apologize for not
And the
floor plans.
And the market for this house is somebody that's renting an apartment, they can pay a little bit more and get a, I get it, I appreciate that, but I want to make sure we don't put a bunch of, everything's $8.99. I'd like to understand the percentage and how these things, you know, I guess the market, I'm sure the market demands that, and if you're selling everything $899, you're gonna build everything $899, but you're getting this thing approved based on a 2,400 square foot, potentially 2,400 square foot. You understand my concern?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Show us the lot configuration. Give us a lot size that might help us understand. Is this what is proposed now, what we've approved? This is what we approved, right?
That's right. This has been approved. So the lot sizes aren't changing. It's just the size of the houses. And yeah, I was under the impression that that they had removed that from their narrative, but it's still in there. So
I mean, I would think that you would hope that the developer would not put an 899 square foot house on a larger lot. I mean, I think logic says it would be a little larger. I guess I'd like to know, to Mr. Harrison's point, is how many of these lots are slated?
But he's not changing the lots, right?
No, he's not.
They're not
but-
changing the
no,
lots.
I'm
Well,
not
he's gonna
changing the
sell,
lots.
he's gonna sell these 900 square foot
I'd
like hotcakes.
I'm like Mr. Harrison, kind of like to know how many of these would be that, and is a certain lot size going to dictate, okay, this is $899 and this is $1,200 or $1,500.
Yeah, so all of the lots are the same minimum lot width. There's some variations just based on the configuration of the layout, but I believe they're all a minimum of 60 foot wide, might be 65 foot wide. But if an approval were to move forward and, you know, a certain percentage would be reasonable to the council, we would certainly consider that. I was not given a percentage. I was told, you know.
So right now, a lot size, you can put either one of these on any of these lots, right?
Physically, you could.
Physically,
but
you
by
could.
regulations, just the 1,300 square foot to 2,500 square foot houses are approved by Tuscaloosa.
Is this going to council? This is our final.
no, this would be something that y'all can approve.
So, look, I get it. I mean, there's a need for it. I understand what you're trying to do, and I'm trying to not let you have a twofer here tonight. You've done this in the past. Your company, I guess, have done this style development in the past, correct?
Yes, sir.
What percentage is $899 versus what would be the larger houses, and what could you commit to tonight?
Yeah, we're doing one on even further south 69 in Mountainville that we are just building the garageless plan, and I think it's probably, you know, the 899 is probably 20%. I think the 1,200 square foot house is probably the 60%, and then the 1,400 square foot house is the other 20%. But if we had the option to do, you know, 50% garageless plans, I think that would be a win for us.
I don't want to drive down through there one day and there be 95% 899 square foot house.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough.
Yes, sir.
How much is, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
Go ahead.
How much has already been built? I mean, I see it's in two different phases. Were you starting with phase one? Were you starting with phase two in your building? Or has any of it been built, or what?
Yes, ma'am. So phase one is under development. D.R. Horton's not the developer. We're working with a local developer on this project, and it would probably be, it depends on, you know, how fast they move, but I would think it'd be sometime in Q1 of next year before we started building a house.
Okay. So it's all, nothing's been built yet?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they are under construction on the horizontal development, but no homes have been built on this project.
What's your cost per foot gonna come in on these 900 square foot?
Sir?
What do you estimate your cost per foot when you lower the size?
On sales prices, it wouldn't be lower than, it'd probably be around $200,000 on the very lowest.
Mr. Lake, I think you hear that we've approved a PUD here previously, and we kind of knew what we were going to get. And you're changing the narrative now, which is fine, your prerogative. I think we'd like to try to figure out some way to get clarification, especially on that you're knowing the lots. If you could tell this body, okay, I see these lots being this, and I think that'd give this body a lot more confidence. We are the final authority on this, so I think we take this all very seriously. We do worry about back to health, safety, and welfare. You know, there's pockets in that area that are challenging from a public safety standpoint, and we don't want to exasperate that issue. I think this body is saying we need more clarification of what you would build and where, or how many, what percentages we were getting to really feel comfortable.
I mean, what you just
I
outlined,
agree.
that model you outlined, 20, 60, and 20, is that what you probably see? 20%.
20%,
60%,
800.
20%. No, you said 20%, 900, 20%, 1,200, and then 20%, was it 2,000?
40% is 1,200.
I would also like to see, before you answer that question, I would also like to see, first of all, I just want more clarification, but then I would also like to see how you will mix the different products within the neighborhood, you know, how consistent, it would be. And also, how would this work with the lot size? I don't know if you spoke to that because I was looking at the renderings, but the lot size compared to the product that you want to change and put on the lot now.
And I think I can answer some of those questions, but I think based on what I'm hearing that I may like to ask to table this and come back with a little more.
I'd like to see, I think we want to see a ratio, and I'd like to see some floor plans and maybe a thought process of how the placement.
You know,
Commission?
what you could do simply to make.
I'm going to suggest with the resubmission that he also give us some typical sections or layouts. I want to see the driveway orientation.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I'm highly concerned that when we have a non-garage home, it's going to promote parking on the street. So I'm concerned about that. We got a 20-foot front yard setback. You know, you can barely get a car between a house and the property line in 20 feet. So I want to see some typical layouts of the building footprint and the garage units or the non-garage units in the driveway concept.
That's what I was about to say. Just a site, basically a site master plan, basically master planning the whole site. And that'll show you what houses can fit on what lots with the driveway, to Mike's point.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, I think we got some sage advice here. I would work with staff and engineering and planning. I think you're wise to table and ask for a continuance. That way you don't have any time limits. You could do it next month or 2 months if it's on your schedule then. So am I assuming you'd like to ask for a continuance?
I would like to ask for a continuance.
All right, Commissioner, before us, the petitioner's requested a continuance of P0423. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a downtown riverfront overlay district request. This is DROD 0224, Bethany Triplet. Petitions to modify the exterior facade of the property located at 2310 Gary Fitz Street. This is Zone BC DROD in Council District 4. The location of the property just down the street from 5, next to the, I believe it's next to the old Burkhalter building, Vitola. So y'all are familiar with this area. The existing 2,400 square feet per the narrative will be divided into 2 equal tenant spaces, and then it'll have a mezzanine as well. The current facade is dilapidated, as you can see from these photos, and in poor repair. And so, just to specify that last sentence, this improvement will elevate the quality of the existing buildings and the overall pedestrian experience. This is the proposed rendering for the front. So you can see they're using limestone cornice. They've got veneer, limestone banding, aluminum awning, decorative lighting, wood doors, cementitious trim, as well as brick veneer and pavers in the kind of entrances. Here's the overall floor plan, so you can see 2 tenant spaces, the mezzanine in the back. And then the Architectural Review Committee found that this was appropriate. There is going to be a right-of-way use permit that's required to be obtained for the aluminum awning. And that's all I've got for this specific development, if you have any questions for me.
Any questions for petitioner? For staff? Petitioner?
Hey, good evening, members of the commission. My name is Chandler Overcash with Caldwell Architects. My address is 1490 North Bank Parkway, Suite 212, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35406. As Zach said, this is essentially a dilapidated structure. I'm here representing Bethany Triplett and Charles Sperlin in the redevelopment of this property. Zach described it pretty efficiently that we want to come back with limestone or cast stone, though. Masonry, aluminum-clad windows and doors, wood doors specifically, and again, lighting and aluminum canopies. The goal here is to pull off the street and allow a little bit of room for gathering outside, although we will project into the right-of-way with the canopies themselves. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm going to defer to our architect, but I think it's a vast improvement of what's there now.
That looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no kidding.
That's good.
I'm assuming there's a tenant lined up for one or both of these spaces. The reason for we're here.
I can't speak to that, but I believe that both are
Well,
in demand currently.
That's all. That's.
And how could we say no?
How about say if you're making an improvement like that?
Let's make this the quickest one of the night.
There you go. There you go. Any other questions for petitioner or comments? Thank you, sir. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition request? Having heard none, commission, before us we have DROD 0224, the modification of the exterior facade of 2310 Gary Fitz. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. Good luck.
All right, we have first preliminary plat, S6024 Delview Lot Consolidation, a resurvey of lots 9 through 13 of Capstone Court, Block 102 subdivision, consisting of one lot on approximately 1.18 acres located at and around 1315 7th Avenue, Council District 4. So this is just north of the railroad. So you can see here, the practice facility is right off the side of your screen. Jack's is right there as well, just to kind of get your bearings. This is the proposed lot 1, so there's multiple buildings, I think 5 existing lots that they are removing all of those lot lines, consolidating into one. You can see in the middle, a public alley that they're currently going through the vacation process for as well. So without contours. And then here is the one variance request, which is half-street improvements along 13th Lane.
Engineering on the variance request?
So we're going to waive that request for the subdivision process, but it'll be required in the LDP.
Okay, thank you, sir. Petitioner?
Good evening, Commission. Eric Hamner, TTL, 3816 Greensboro Avenue, representing Hugh Underwood and Delview on this. This is a lot consolidation, as I said. Don't have anything else to add. If y'all have any questions, I'll take them right now.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you,
I
sir.
know it's late and everybody wants to.
Anyone care to speak for or against this petition request? Having heard none, commission, before us we have S6024, a lot consolidation. Have a motion, and one variance request, which engineering has addressed and will address further. Have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Rumsey?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, our second preliminary plat for tonight, S6224 Caldo Estates, number 2, a resurvey of Lot 2 Caldo Estates and adjoining lands, a reconfiguration of 2 existing lots on approximately 2.12 acres located at 2617 and 2619 Woodland Road, and this is Council District 6. So here's the location of the property, somewhat close to the VA Medical Center, off of Woodland Road. So you can see the existing lot lines here. The existing lot line in black, they're just shifting that lot line so that I believe the existing structures, they're working around those in order to make it more appropriate for both lots. and they are asking for half-street improvements, sidewalks, and lot configuration as the variances.
Engineering.
No objection to those requests.
Thank you. Petitioner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Marty Montgomery, Montgomery and Hinkle Land Surveying, representing the owners in this two-lot subdivision. This was originally a family division, and they're trying to sell the house that's on Lot 3. And it was redesigned to go around the existing, it's an existing concrete structure now, it's a wall. It was a swimming pool that was filled in with concrete, so it's added to Lot 3 to go with it.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition request? Having heard none, commission before us, we have S 5224, the Cowdell State resurvey. Do I have a motion with 3 variance requests engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion approved.
All right, next up, we have two annexation requests. First one is AN 1424, annexing approximately 2 acres located at 17097 North Hagler Road, way up north on the lake. You can see the property here, aerial, and they're requesting for access to city schools. Is a future service or expansion area, pretty far out of the service area for environmental services, so clearly they're not providing services to this area. And that's all I've got. Questions for me?
Engineering, no issues. Petitioner?
Hi, I'm Christy Booth, 4805 Leland Drive. Must we say something else? We're just requesting to be annexed for the city school system for our children.
Very simple.
No, once we got you, there's no going back.
That's right. They go back.
No, that's what I heard.
City forever.
To know that.
No, sir.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you, ma'am. All right, Commissioner before us have an annexation request, 1424, annexing 2 acres located at 17097 North Hagler Road. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Welcome to the city.
All right, final case of the night, AN 1524, annexing approximately 1.51 acres located at 15083 Four Winds Road. Here's the location of the property, again, north of or on the river, west of 69 in the Four Winds Road area. Here's the aerial, and then they're requesting for access to city schools. It is a future service expansion area, and we will not be providing services to this area for environmental services.
Same as before. Petitioner?
Hey, I'm Rebecca York. I'm at 1503 Four Winds Road, Newport. We want just for the school system.
Same rules apply.
That's right.
Pardon?
I said same rules apply.
Same. I'm in.
All right, any questions for petitioner? Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Commission for annexation 1524 request, 1.15 acres at 15083 Four Winds Road. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Welcome to the city.
All right, one final thing, framework, the 28th. So we'll see y'all then.
All right, what's that one going to be about?
We'll pick up our check.
We're going to be looking at the map as a whole, so the whole city, again, like we did last month, and then some of the draft text.
When is our final vote?
We're hoping one more meeting after this upcoming
Because
one.
originally we were talking
And then,
about August,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is August, right?
Well-
We're not gonna get into hunting season.
no, we're
We
getting
have a
there.
Quorum problem then, what we continue.
That's right.
All right, you got to
That's it.
officially adjourn it.
Meeting adjourned.